Hello, I am Michelle Bell. I'm the Senior Vice President of Creative at Rock Nation Music Publishing.
And my name is Katja Iversen. I'm the CEO of the Museum for the United Nations UN Live, and I'm bringing to you a new artist today.
Hi, I'm Isaac from TikTok, based in Los Angeles. I've been at TikTok since 2018. Before that, I was at YouTube for 7 years and worked in the independent music business for 15 years before that. So happy to see all of you.
Hello, hello, good morning. I'm Veronica Carballo from Televisa Univision, the world's leading Spanish language media and content company.
Hello, I am Natalie Gabathuller-Scully. I'm the Executive Vice President of Revenue Distribution and Data Operations at Vivo. We're the leading global music video network.
All right, cool. So again, different perspectives, different walks of life, great diversity here. Feel free to jump in, but what does music mean to your business? And thinking about all these new forces, how's it shaping stuff?
Sure, I'll start here. Music is really the foundation of our business. Under the Rock Nation umbrella, I think we're known for music, but there are 15 verticals that were built off of the backbone of music. So whether it's our record label, which we have artists like Rihanna, which is one of our biggest, and then also Snow Allegra, an emerging artist like Infinity Song, and then also our management company, where we manage artists like Meg Thee Stallion and DJ Khaled, and Alicia Keys, and a host of many others. And then also the publishing company. Music is the center of our focus and has really been the driving force behind our brand.
So at Televisa Univision, music is a huge part of what we do, and a big reason is that for Latin culture, music is critical. It's part of our culture. It's what really inspires us and drives us. So as the leading Spanish language company, it's our mission to ensure that we connect with our audience in the places that, whatever they are, and through what they love and they're passionate for. So it's been our mission to develop a full music ecosystem that really meets our audience wherever they are. So we have over 25 music events and festivals. We have over 30 radio stations. We have 4 award shows, including the Latin Grammys, that this year it's marking its 25th anniversary. And we have tons of content that is music-driven content that gets distributed across all of our social, digital platforms, broadcast, cable networks, as well as VIX, the largest Spanish language streaming platform globally.
So for Vivo, we wouldn't exist if it wasn't for music content. We are backed by 2 of the major music labels, Sony and Universal. And we have relationships with many other label partners out in the market. We work to drive that content across the digital ecosystem and drive advertising revenue against that. We are syndicated across 35+ platforms in the mobile, desktop, and in the living room space. And our mission is really to drive the promotional and commercial value for these music videos to support the artists and the labels.
TikTok is a platform for creators of all stripes, big and small, and music is certainly an integral piece of that. I think we're going to talk about it a little more later, but I'm very focused on the opportunity for music discovery on TikTok and for the ability of artists to communicate directly with their fans, which I think happens on TikTok in a way that is pretty unique.
And then you might wonder, why is there a museum sitting up here? I'm not that old, but the Museum for the United Nations UN Live, we work with popular culture to change the world. And if we look at music, what is it that music makes us do? Makes us happy, makes us feel. And if we want to move the world, and if we look at the world right now, this is beautiful sunshine, we're on the beautiful Cannes, but if we look at the world right now and how it's being polarized, both in people, but also having a planetary boundaries really pushed, we need everybody to feel that this is important. music, and when you connect that to nature, can make that happen. And that's what we do at the UN Live, the Museum for the United Nations.
So let's touch on, the probably one of the biggest themes out there right now, which is what I would call social music, based around social media, if you will, and a little distinct from some of the traditional things that some of us have worked on, but it is about aggregating audiences, artists, these direct connections between those interests. There's got to be a couple of you that it's meant something to your business. Maybe give us a sense of what it's meant to your business. I'm actually interested in Rock Nation first, but certainly TikTok and all of you.
Sure. Look, I think social media is really driving the culture, right? Especially in music. It's changed the landscape of how we look for artists, how we listen to music, what is popular for music, especially I'm going to say TikTok. I think one of the challenges is sustainability. I'm going to just start with that. While it's great, we have so many options, we get to see so many new, incredible, and amazing talent. I think I was reading something about on YouTube and in some of these channels, there are more music creators than people just sort of doing anything. I think half of YouTube at one point, or 60% of it, was all musicians, which is wonderful. That gives you so many different options. But it's also this challenge of finding what is going to be great in the future, not just right now, right? There's so many songs that become huge that, break out. But there's also this place of development that I think we're just trying to find that balance of what the future is going to look like for music. But social media is so important. And also the thing that I love the most is that it gives every music creator the opportunity to be seen and heard. I tell people, just put your music out. Don't wait for a big record label to sign you or for someone to come along and give you all the money that you need. You have the power to engage with people, engage with fans, and engage, and get people interested just by reaching out to them. It's commenting. It's such a interactive way to gain access and to gain fans. So I think those are, it's a beautiful, wonderful thing to have for artists to be able to get their music out and to be seen. But it's exciting to see what's going to happen in the future.
I spent the first, I think, 15 years of my career trying to convince retailers and distributors to buy 30-count boxes of CDs, and the degree to which that landscape has shifted in the ensuing 20-odd years is really dramatic. We've reduced the barrier to entry for content creators and musicians in particular, but also for the distribution of that music at a global level. And some of this is, let's say, well documented. You can see the rise of reggaeton or amapiano. These are trends that are really being born on platforms like TikTok. And I also think that the ability for artists to engage directly with their fans is potentially transformative for artists who really lean into their fan base. We just launched a product called Fan Spotlight, which allows an artist, we're piloting it with Billie Eilish actually, it allows an artist to pin a video to their profile that a fan has created, and so you see this like really direct connection between content creators and their fans. I think that's unprecedented and super exciting.
Yeah, and totally agreed. Social media and social platforms have been an incredible opportunity for the popularization of Latin music. A lot of artists tap into social to upload their music videos, and our audience is highly engaged across social, and it has allowed for discovery and shareability of Latin music. So social has been critical for that. Also, it's given an opportunity for artists are more and more active across social platforms, which has opened up the dialogue and the relationship with fans. And especially Latino fans are huge when it comes to, they're super passionate about the artists they follow and they love. So social platforms have also allowed to bring that dialogue and that engagement really high. And for us particularly, we really tap into social not only to connect our content and artists with fans, but also with brands. So we work with a lot of brands and advertisers and brand partners that are very interested in being part of that dialogue, that engagement between artists and our users and viewers and consumers. So that's been a great opportunity to allow brands to connect authentically through the power of music, which is a very powerful cultural connection with our audience.
Yeah, I would say it's the same at Vivo. Discoverability of music video content on platforms like TikTok has driven growth in genres like Afro beats, Amapiano, where we've seen 60% growth year over year in viewership across those genres, and even regional Mexicana content. Last year alone, it was 3 billion views across our platform in the US. So it's really helping the growth of genres and artist discovery that we haven't seen before. And I think it's instrumental in the continued growth and success of that content. It's also led to opportunities for partnerships. We have a partnership with TikTok around trending and TikTok moments that we launch on our connected television platforms in our FAST channels, and really showing the synergy between social media and music content.
Let's talk a little bit just about how globally connected the world is. I mean, Televisa Univision obviously represents Latin artists, the reggaeton, but it's regional, and it feels like, you know, an artist, whether it's in Puerto Rico, can be equally popular in Europe or Asia. And I think just about everyone on this panel, TikTok, certainly Vivo, is seeing some of these international appetites just pulling repertoire everywhere, yeah?
Certainly, and I think that the platforms like YouTube made it possible for that consumption to happen anywhere, anytime, by lots of fans. I think the part that's extra exciting right now is the ability of those fans. If you're, to use your example, if you're a fan of reggaeton, you can listen to that music, you can watch that video if you live in Thailand or whatever. But what's most exciting is the ability for that fan to actually engage with that content and create their own sort of riff on that. It's that level of engagement that we think is really what's driving really dramatic discovery and consumption of previously under-distributed categories of music.
Yeah, and I think what's so interesting is that reggaeton has been around for a really long time, a really, really long time. And it's been recently that, and there's a different factors. Definitely social media has helped accelerate that popularization and bringing it to the masses. But there's also younger audiences are more multicultural. They identify themselves as multiracial, Hispanics, and the majority of Hispanic Gen Zers, they want to see themselves reflected in the music that they listen to. So it's a huge community. It's a powerful community that keeps growing, and it's bringing and embracing the roots, their heritage, their traditions, and they do this through music. Also the Latin American diaspora, so across the world, it's bringing, again, our music, because our culture is what we are, and it's a very special component in like what we are, and wherever we go in the world, we'll bring our music along. And it's very catchy. I mean, when you hear the beat, you just want to dance to it.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yeah.
So there's a rich history of Spanish language genres migrating and evolving in different ways across the Spanish-speaking world. Do you think that has changed dramatically in the last 10 years? Or is it like are platforms like TikTok allowing for that sort of spread and those iterations to change faster or in different ways?
100%, 100%. I think it's the movement of people, Latin American diaspora, in the past few years has been incredible. And along, they bring their music, their sounds, and a lot of artists and creators are also moving across the world. And they're experimenting with other styles and other flavors, so that's bringing, and of course, platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Vivo, are also helping to popularize those sounds. So it's a really exciting time, and definitely social media has played a critical role, for sure.
Just kind of from the UN, I also want to say it's wonderful to see how tech helps democratize music in this way. And just kind of linking to to Inkwell Beach's wonderful slogan, DE&I will never die. You know, so seeing that, the whole equity discussion, there's a lot of other things that might not have equity at the heart in the music industry, but exactly this is just absolutely wonderful to see. Yeah. Also, when we look at identity and the connection to your own music, to your own language, to your own beat, that is also what we need.
and to add to that really quickly, a trend that we've seen is a lot of content creators are tapping into their music talents. And so you see a lot of content creators that got started as just content creators, and they're starting to tap into music. So you have someone like Lele Bones, which I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. She started as a viner, and now she's this huge artist with songs on Spotify, with tons of musical content on TikTok. So we're seeing a lot of that happening. So we're bringing a lot of like music creators to our award shows. And we're having them perform, and we're also celebrating them.
One thing that's also interesting that you could speak about, I mean, Televisa and Univision is a really interesting beast. If it has roots in telenovelas from Mexico, if I recall, not the most world-changing stuff, pretty traditional content, right? And you play to what's called the U.S. Latin audience. But it sounds like you're benefiting globally. But what's interesting is, how did it become social for you? Like, I sometimes think of it as a broadcaster in the same way I would a TV network. It sounds like you've really spread your wings and transformed, yeah?
We have, and it's because we go where the audience is. So our audience, the Hispanic audience, is extremely social. They're everywhere on every single social platform. So we need to be where our audience is, and we need to, in order for us to super serve them with the content that they love, we also need to be on the platform, so they're very active. So social has been huge for us, not only from a content distribution perspective and to connect with our audience, but also as a way to bring new forces to the table. Because something that I'm very proud of what we do at Televisa Univision is that we have become the launch pad for a lot of emerging artists. So all the artists that you know today, Bad Bunny, Karol G, J Balvin, they all got started at Univision. We have been the launch pad for their careers. And I'm very proud how supportive we are of the music industry and also emerging artists. And we definitely tap into social, to some talented discovery. Some of the talent that we have discovered has been on TikTok. And we have invited them over to be part of our showcases, and hopefully we'll be able to launch their careers, and they can be the next Shakira.
Should put all those telenovelas on TikTok.
I'd just
Best
like
way
to
to drive
say,
discovery.
Yeah?
Yeah.
really quick, J Balvin, a Rock Nation management client. So shout out
Get
to
to Rock Nation, but go ahead, Evan.
No, I think it's true. I think, as Isaac said, YouTube started that globalization movement of music, but I think it's partners like ours that are helping drive the continued discovery of that content by partnering with all of these different diverse platforms globally in getting our content out there, getting the content to the users out there, how they want to consume it, and curate it in the way that they want to consume it, I think. And social really for us has been an amazing platform to help the growth of an artist in their trajectory, right? We have products like Discover, which is, the entry into the music forum, and then you go to the next platform, Lyft, and so on and so forth. And social helps you sort of promote that and help sort of talk to the fans about the artist and get them to know them on a more personal level, which I think helps drive these different niche genres.
Now, does Vivo think globally and act globally? Because when I worked at a record label, we had, very specific repertoire artists, marketing plans. It wasn't always like, let's break Shakira everywhere. It was like, let's break her in this region. How does it work for you guys? Are you kind of sensitive to this radical mix we're talking about here? Or?
We are very sensitive to that. I think we think global, but we also think locally, right? And I think you still have users who want local content from their region, but then they also want to have that mix of the global artists as well. And so I think it's about that balance and understanding the region that you're in and understanding the users' consuming habits and sort of managing that balance.
And Rock has got an awesome story here. Did you want to comment?
Sure.
Globally.
Globally, I think music is the one thing that connects us all. It's really the sort of universal language. And the one thing that I love about social media is that everyone has the chance to really participate in, you may not know all the words, but you know the beat, you know the song, you know that it's popular. And because of these social media platforms, people, artists or fans around the globe get the opportunity to hear music or to be exposed to music and culture that they never would have learned about or known about if you don't travel as often as a lot of us. So I think that young people get the chance to experience Latin music or seeing the explosion of K-pop, over the last 5 or 6 years. It's really awesome to see that, and then just seeing so many young people so interested in learning new languages. I think that's super important. So music is really, important.
Yeah, and rock is also a really interesting, great American company. You've got artists you manage, from Jay-Z to emerging artists, right? You program the Super Bowl, you've got management. It's a really interesting mix of stuff that kind of reflects this, right?
Yes. So again, music has been the building block that has led to film and TV, education, philanthropy, sports, which is also global for us and has become a big vertical at Rock Nation. But I think just, especially building with brands, talent is one thing, but music has been the conduit for this company to become global and to be known. The founder, yes, obviously Mr. Carter, Jay-Z, has made an impact in the music world. And I think that's given the opportunity for emerging artists that we work with to be seen and to be heard as well. But also just so many other companies have been born out of the music platform.
Do you want to say something? No. So let's talk about another point that we should mention. We're sitting here at one of the world's biggest advertising conferences, so presumably advertising is part of the lifeblood of what everyone's doing here. It'd be good to speak about what it means to all of you individually, and in particular for music. What are brands looking for? Do they want more authentic, direct interactions with artists? What's it all about for them?
Yeah, for us, certainly there's been a transformation, at least in the last 2 or 3 years, I think, where brands, as they get more increasingly invested in TikTok, they're looking to ensure that the music that goes along with their ads feels native to the platform, feels organic, and feels appropriate. So we work really closely with our advertising partners to ensure that we can make those connections across a pretty wide set of potential artist partners.
Yeah, my team specifically works with a lot of brands and advertisers to help them connect authentically with U.S. Hispanics in language and in culture. So music it's an incredible and powerful way to connect authentically with our audience. So we work with a lot of brand partners to be part of that conversation. We know that brands today, they want to be relevant, they want to be able to break the content clutter. So we do help them by building and creating meaningful connections with our audience through music. And we've seen a lot of interest in advertisers being part of our IPs. So we have tons of award shows, we have tons of festivals and concerts. So a lot of clients lean in and want to be part and want to have a presence across those intimate and incredible moments through music. There's a lot of interest also in partnering with artists. Again, artists have a very powerful relationship with the fan, and they want to be able to tap into that fandom by partnering with artists. And we have tons of great, fantastic relationship with the biggest Hispanic artists out there, so we help build those relationships.
Yeah, for Viva, we're an ad-supported business. So we're instrumental in driving incremental revenue for the music industry. And for us, we find that this content is professionally produced content. It's the music videos that the artists sort of build to tell their story around the songs that they write and sing and produce. And we're there to help the advertisers connect with those songs, whether it's in buying the latest premiere, or whether it's in buying a show like Best Of in our connected television space. It's all about connecting the advertiser to the content, and telling their story to the fans that they know are consuming that content.
So with advertising, and we're going to get to causes in a second here, I think of traditional metrics, ROI, you're a data executive, so data's got to be important. When I've done stuff with big artists that I've worked with, Shakira, Ricky Martin, blah, 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 Sony artists, I wasn't always able to give data. It was more about the engagement. So I'm kind of wondering, Is all that traditional stuff, the metrics, still key in this universe, or is it something different and just the experience that matters?
It's all the same and more, I would say, right? I think advertisers are still looking for those traditional ROIs, but I think they're also looking for metrics like brand safety. They're looking for, co-viewing metrics, how many people are watching the content at the same time. It's about partnering with data providers out in the market to help provide sort of those brand reach lift studies and information around how their content's performed, along with the standard ROIs of click-through, viewability, all of those fun metrics that are currently available. I think what I will say is that it's not the same for every advertiser, right? And so I think publishers need to be flexible in how they work with the clients to make sure that they're giving them what they need. So one advertiser's buy might be different because their KPIs are different.
I totally agree. And that's been our experience. We work closely with our brand partners to determine what are their priorities, what are their KPIs, and based on that, we help them design a content experience. One advantage that we offer our partners is that we have a multitude of touch points. So we're able to really go from the full consumer funnel. So we can create experiences that help drive awareness, but we can also help convert. We have started to really create holistic 360 campaigns that not only tap into our broadcast channel, social, our content creator network, but we can also do retail activations. So it's really the full funnel, and we're starting to see a lot of interest and demand to really bring that to full circle.
Yeah. Isaac.
I just wanted to go back to something that Natalie said earlier about connected TVs. I think one of the emerging opportunities here that simply wouldn't have existed 10 years ago is thinking about non-mobile surfaces in which you can shoehorn these novel experiences. So we know a huge portion of YouTube consumption happens on connected TVs. The ads that run on TV is obviously a very high value, and we're super excited about things like digital out of home, fast channels, as well as the TikTok app for TV. There's lots of new places where we can drive that same level of discovery and fan interaction that simply wouldn't have existed even 5 years ago. So I think connected TV is a really exciting and new format for us and for the rest of the industry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's a great point because what we've seen that has done is help drive reintroduction of catalog content for us. And so, I mean, we have channels like 80s, 90s, 2000s channels in the FAST environment. And, there's a bit of nostalgia in watching those hits from back in the day, on your television and having sort of 24-hour stream music videos again in the television space.
The challenge will be discoverability, though, right? Because if you have like if you've lowered the barrier to creation for fast channels to 0, then you have 8 zillion crappy fast channels, and it's like, well, how do you drive the discovery of the TikTok channel on Vivo?
Yeah. Well, that's where social comes in to help promote.
So
we can help.
Do any of you believe in subscription revenue, that consumers will keep paying for music over time? It feels like it's a big part of the strategy with video streaming services. I wonder if it enters into your thinking when it comes to advertising.
I think we're always going to live in a world of both, and I think it's going to complement each other. I believe that we're going to continue to see advertising grow against this content. Right. I think there's going to be a max of how many subscription providers or subscriptions that each consumer wants to invest in on a monthly basis, right? And so there's always going to be that area for an ad-supported.
That's fair. I think for some of the music folks, like when we started some of these streaming services, advertising was kind of like it was like the thing that you want to sell subscriptions around, basically, and it certainly seems complementary.
Yeah, you have to have some rev to share in a rev share deal.
For sure, and revise that pie. You talked about this being all about the music, and we're going to move on to some other topics in a second, but I want to hit some of the core kind of media things first. What about like plain old audio? Is that still important to you, actual music, or is it all about video these days?
I think audio, I think people are consuming content in every way that they can. And I think people will keep subscribing and keep, as long as there's content, as long as there's music. I'm excited to see what new platforms are going to emerge, in the next few years, because I don't think music or content is going anywhere. It's only getting stronger, and the more collaborative that it gets, people are going to use it. But audio is always going to be important. I think that we found that, especially you said you've been in the business for a long time, people were using vinyl, and then when it turned to CDs, and I think there was this idea that, it has to sound really good, it has to be quality, and then when we started streaming music from our phone, the quality kind of went down, but now our ears are really used to that, So I think that however people can listen to the music, they're gonna, do it. And even being able to create music now on your phone and on the go, you don't have to have a big, huge studio,
Right.
to put that together. So as technology evolves, we'll see what happens.
Katja, would you like to say something? Or do you-
On this, but we're also getting back to the social
Yeah.
good part of it, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, else I'll just take the
No, okay,
opportunity
go ahead,
now.
go
What do
ahead.
you want me to?
No, I want to say something.
All
So
right, then
let-
I'll just say, the storytelling in it is also important.
Yeah.
And there's both the storytelling in audio, but there's also very much the storytelling in the video. And when we look at it kind of from a social impact point of view, that one we can also see a change in the stories being told, both in the unstereotyping about who's being depicted, but also in the stories being told. And when we look at the younger generation, their demand for purpose is just going to be, it is there, but it's going to be a lot more profound. So if you as an artist, or if you as the platform cannot tell purpose-driven stories, that's going to make people turn off.
This is what I want. This is a great kickoff to. It's probably going to be our last point here because we only got a few more minutes. But music has always been something that has been about causes. There was a day when artists just did causes and cared about it before the whole thing got commercialized. Speak a little bit about some of these new forces, whether it's social or broadcast, or the UN's got some very exciting stuff.
So
What causes and how they come in?
I'm going to start by introducing a new artist, if I may. Do you know who the oldest, most underpaid artist in the world is? It's nature. Nature never got paid for its sounds. Nature never got paid for its resources. But from a month, 6 weeks ago, nature is actually become an artist on some of the major streaming platforms. So if you take your phone, and now nature owns its own sound, which means when you stream the nature sounds that nature owns, royalties will go back to nature and to biodiversity and conservation. So take out your phones and find nature with capital letters, nature, click, and you will do good just by listening. In just 2 weeks from we launched at the UN in April, nature shot up to be in the top 1% of artists on Spotify. We did it by having nature sounds, but also getting 15 great artists from different parts of the world to feature nature sound, whether it was Indian Ayub Jan, who had the Bombay Rain, whether it was Bombay Stereo, whether it was Umi, whether it's Ellie Goulding, whether it's, Blinky Bill, Brian Eno remixing David Bowie, and more coming in a minute. We can dance to a Disclosure track. So now nature is up here, royalties go back to nature, and now all the other artists want to jam and play with nature. So, that is how we will be racing from UN Live and a lot of partners, whether it's Earth Percent or AKQA or some of the big environmental groups. We'll be raising $40 million and engaging 600 million people just by listening. Isn't that great news?
Super cool. Super cool. Anyone have any last thoughts on causes before we wrap this up?
I think it's really important. Our company definitely uses our platform for reform, for philanthropic efforts. It's one of our, I think, the things that is the closest to our founder's heart is to give back globally. And I love when artists use their voices and use their music, use their platforms for good in this world. It's really an important thing to do.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. It was a great discussion. We can go another hour, but we don't have time. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.